What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first Monday Madness. What we want to start doing is giving you guys a weekly insight into what happens here, especially on Mondays because they're the craziest. Today we were really working on unboxing of a lot of lights that we finished last week, as well as all the wiring for it. So we're going to show you kind of what goes into that, and then Jordan's mayhem on the computer as far as getting back to everyone, make sure everyone's taken care of. So yeah, excited to show you guys around the shop a little bit every week here and see what we're doing. So let's go ahead and focus on some of the sets that we finished last week and kind of show you what they do. A big thing that we do before we send lights out is a lot of wiring. So we like to make sure that as much wiring that we can do here before they go out is done for simple installs and just cleanliness as well as reliability. A lot of times if water or grit gets in the connectors, there's some bad things that can happen. So our customer Alex here got some modified Tech C-Light. How these typically come is T-taps for all the connectors, well, most of them. So with these, you would use a spade on the wire itself in order to plug them in. But it's not the most secure connection. Sometimes they can jiggle loose with road vibration. So what we're doing is making our own little harness here. So we just cut off all the T-taps and we're just directly doing a solder to a JST, like a lock-in style connector. And then on the headlight side, we have that same connector going to those. So we don't have to use these T-tap style plugs. We'll be able to use dielectric grease and heat wrap to keep these nice and secure, which is pretty sweet. So another one that we'll also rig up is the Morimoto XBT remotes. These are the typical remote we use for all of our RGB components. They work really well. It has 3 different outputs. So if you have 3 different components, Demon Eye, Halo, Gills, whatever we do, you can control all those separately or together. With the Halos, they need to be grounded, so direct ground. So typically what a lot of DIY customers would do is ground those each to whatever component they could find in the engine bay. But what we'll do is we'll put a little pigtail on here just to directly wire it to the battery with the remote itself. So this is kind of one that we're doing right now. We'll be able to attach those ground wires to this. This is a finished one. So this is how they'll typically come in the mail to folks. So directly to battery here, we got an inline fuse. We have our ground wire going to our Halo drivers, and then our Demon Eye drivers are connected with those. So you can kind of split those driver passenger side. And then everything is also labeled here. I know it's very rudimentary labeling, it's just 1, 2, 3, but it's easy that way and it doesn't look fancy, but it works really great. So another thing we do with paint, we did these all last week, so I think I painted most of these Thursday and Friday of last week. All of them are gloss for a couple different sets that we're doing. Once we get done with paint, we usually let them kind of air out overnight or two, and then we'll go ahead and outgas them in the oven. What that does is just release any additional solvents that could get trapped in the headlight, which is not good. So we usually do probably 3 rounds of these for each headlight before we start assembling them together. So we have these in there for a little bit. We're just gonna switch it out with one of the other ones we have painted. So thanks for joining us on the first Monday Madness, guys. We went over some wiring stuff, just showed you the harnesses we put together for all your lights. A couple of the things we have working on the shop. It's about to de-weed some etch lenses. So join us tomorrow for Techie Tuesday. We're gonna go over some kind of what different components do in headlights. I'm just giving you guys some more information on that. And yeah, follow us the rest of the week and check out, we'll be on YouTube, Tinder, Bumble, all that shit. So yeah, check it out.